Able to seal him. Here's the pass. Oh, what a catch! Leaping into the air and pulling it down is T. Higgins. Burrow facing pressure. Goes over the top. Wide open is Chase. And he splits the defenders for the touchdown. Cincinnati kid, Hubbard's got a convoy, chased by Andrews, at the 30, the 20, he will score!
Hooday, Bengal fans. He is Mon. I am Jake. This is the Bengals Pulse, the heartbeat of our Cincinnati Bengals. Mon, it is Titans week. The Bengals travel to Nashville on Sunday. It's going to be a big football game once again for this football team. I don't care what anyone says. We got our first win under our belt. Now it's time to get our first AFC win under our belt. Going to be a big game on Sunday, Mom. We got a lot to talk about today.
Yeah, exciting week. Glad to get that win on Monday night. Much needed. Going to Tennessee and playing the Titans, a team we've played well against the last few years. It's never easy playing on the road. They got a great coach. They got a lot of proud players there. They are struggling a little bit. Let's get another win in Tennessee, but let's talk about it first.
Let's talk about it first, Mon. So, again, this is a team that our Bengals know very well. Obviously, 2 years ago, the Tennessee Titans are the number one seed going into the divisional round of the playoffs. Our Bengals go into Tennessee and win a nail biter of a football game. 19-16, right? 19-16, I believe. Obviously, the big field goal that Evan McPherson hits, the one that we all know the story where he turns and looks to his teammates and says, I guess we're going to the AFC Championship, boys. Again, a big win in Bengals history 2 years ago. And the Titans, a team that was picked really to be playing for the AFC Championship that year. And then we fast forward and still kind of rewind, I guess, to last season. The Bengals go into Tennessee one more time, a game that the Bengals really had to have. If you remember, Mon, at the time, I believe the Bengals were 6-4. The Titans were 7-3. And Cincinnati goes into Tennessee once again. A very close football game. 20-16 was the final of that game. No score in the first quarter. Halftime, the score is tied up 10-10. 13-13 going into the fourth quarter, and the Bengals get the lone touchdown in the fourth quarter. Real quick, the numbers from that game on Burrow, 22 of 37, 270 and a touchdown. The leading rusher that game on Samaje Perine with 17 carries, 58 yards, and a touchdown. And T. Higgins had a big football game on, if you remember, 7 catches, 114 yards, and a touchdown. And this Bengals team, 2 years in a row, absolutely just dismantle the Titans' run game. Derrick Henry in that game finished with only 38 yards rushing on 17 carries, Mon. He did have that big screen pass, if you remember, which ended up being a touchdown. It was like a 70-yard touchdown or something crazy like that. But the run game, the Bengals were able to shut down, Mon, and they're going to have to do that again on Sunday. Go into Tennessee for the third year in a row and dismantle this Titans run game.
Yeah, I mean, go back to the Joe Burrow's rookie season, Jake. Don't forget they played the Titans that year in Cincinnati, and Joe Burrow played his best game as a rookie that year. They really throttled him. Zach Taylor's 3-0 against Mike Vrabel. I still think the divisional playoff game was the best, one of the best Bengal victories I've ever seen and witnessed. Not that Joe Burrow exactly lit it up that game, but he showed his toughness. He was sacked 9 times. He was hit multiple other times. The defense really stepped up that game for the Bengals, but Joe Burrow really showed that toughness, made the key plays when he needed to. He could have easily folded. A lot of quarterbacks would have. But that was one of the most impressive Bengal wins I've ever witnessed, and I'm old, and I've seen a lot of Bengal games. But they match up well against the Titans. Beating them again in Tennessee is going to be tough. Believe me, that team is proud. The Titans, that is, they're going to be ready. They were embarrassed, beat last year, the divisional game when they were the number one seed. The Bengals beat them, and again, Joe Burrow's rookie year, his best game of the season was against the Titans. I think, in a weird way, after that divisional game where the Titans were the number one seed, sort of a downward spiral for them after that loss. They did start off solid the next year, like you said. They were 7-3. The Bengals beat them again, and things just went out of whack for them. They got a lot of older players there now. They don't know if Tannehill's the answer. They don't know what's going to happen there with their number one pick from Kentucky. I think his name is Levis.
Yes.
There's a lot of moving parts up there. I wouldn't be surprised 3, 4, 5 weeks if they start switching, trading players potentially. But it's going to be a big opportunity for the Bengals. Got to come out with a win. We're a little limited right now on offense. We saw that Monday night. We need that defense to continue to play the way they did to get us a victory.
And if you remember, let's go back to that divisional round playoff game too. As we said earlier in the show, the final score was 19-16. Remember that game was 16-16 until the big interception by Logan Wilson, which completely flipped the game. Joe Burrow makes a great throw, and next thing you know, we're going to the AFC Championship. So you're right. The defense has played well these last 3 years against this Titans team. And they're going to have to do it again, Mom, because once again, we see Derrick Henry. Now they have a young running back in Tyjae Spears, a guy that the Bengals are going to have to keep in check. He is more of the, I guess you would say more of the scat back. He's still a pretty big guy, but more of the scat back type of running back as opposed to Derrick Henry, who is just the downhill nasty back that we all know. Again, like you said, Tannehill has struggled this year. Will Levis, the guy you talked about, the quarterback from Kentucky right now, he's third on the depth chart behind Malik Willis, another guy that they drafted early these last 2 years. This Titans team really cannot find itself when it comes to the quarterback position. And we saw it last week. They got absolutely destroyed by the Cleveland Browns, and the Cleveland Browns were just able to get to Tannehill play after play after play. The Titans right now really struggling at the offensive line. I would think this Bengals D line is probably chomping at the bit, ready to play these guys.
Yeah, they're going to need a big game. I think the key to the Bengals. Going back again to that divisional playoff game, I think the person that really set the tone there was DJ Reader. He dominated that game. The Titans were, I think, leading the NFL in rushing that year. We just shut him down. And we need another big game from him. The defensive line really turned it around Monday night. Those pass rushers just feasted. We just need another dominant performance there because we know what the Titans are going to do. They're going to limit possessions. They're going to run the ball. They're a lot like an AFC North team. They're going to just try to control the clock, keep Burrow on the bench, and we just got to get off on third down and make sure our our offense gets possessions because they're going to have to. Joe Burrow, let's face it, he's a little limited right now. We all know that. He's not the most mobile guy right now, but that offensive line has really played well. They got to continue doing that because that Titan defensive front is pretty special. I mean, they don't have an Aaron Donald, but they got a guy almost at that level in Simmons. So we got to be ready for him.
And Simmons, we all know, like you said, 2 years ago, you said it earlier, this defensive line just absolutely manhandled us in the playoff game. You said it earlier, 9 sacks. Jeffrey Simmons was all over the field in that game. I think that when you look, though, at this Titans defense, you have to really look at the back end of this defense. They have a very special group of defensive backs. For the Bengals, you said it, Jeffrey Simmons is that key factor up front, but he's no Aaron Donald. He's no the pass rushers that we've seen right now, the guys that can get to the quarterback, have been very, very good the first 3 football games that we have played. I don't want to mention his name, but the Cleveland Brown player that we just cannot seem to block. But this Titans team has a guy in Jeffrey Simmons that can get to the passer, but again, he is not the level that we've seen. But this defensive backfield, Mon, with Kevin Beard, who is obviously one of the best in the game, Christian Fulton, they have Amani Hooker and Sean Murphy Bunting, all four guys, very good football players, Mon, and really a bigger strength of this Titans defense is that back end of the defense.
Yeah, they are. Just the thing about Simmons, though, him and he's a different player than Aaron Donald. He's much bigger. He's not the pass rush threat, but he can help out in the run game. Autry, the other defensive end, is a really good player. They have some pass rushers. They can get to the quarterback. The one thing about the Titans this year, they are hard to run against. I think they're top 3 in the NFL rush defense. So the Bengals are going to continue trying to find ways. Not that the Bengals run the ball a lot, but when they do, they're going to have to be efficient and successful. That's very important. I think they're having more problems on the other side of the line. Their offensive line is struggling a little bit. So I expect big day from Trey Hendrickson, Sam Hubbard. Hopefully Joseph Osai plays more than 5 snaps. He only played 5 Monday night. Maybe they're giving him some more rest. Hopefully the Bengals can get 4, 5, 6 more sacks this game. But yeah, that defensive line for the Titans is not. We shouldn't sleep on them. They're very, very physical, and they're hard to run against. And we're definitely going to have to run the ball a little bit, especially with Joe's situation.
Well, like you said, I don't like mentioning this guy's name because he is just a Bengal killer right now. But there's no Myles Garrett on this football team, right? There's no Myles Garrett. There's no Aaron Donald. Jeffrey Simmons, a very good football player. Again, I don't want to take anything away from him, but I think this is going to be one of those situations where the offensive line maybe is able to get into their groove, and we're able to really run the football downhill. You talked about this Titans offensive line, Mon. Ryan Tannehill's stats right now look a lot like Joe Burrow's from last year, the first couple games. Ryan Tannehill, Mon, has been sacked 13 times. 13 times, Mon, in 3 games. Last year, Joe Burrow was sacked 15 times in 3 games. So very similar there. Tannehill, 1 touchdown to 3 interceptions. He's only thrown for about 550-something yards. Again, this Titans offense is struggling, Mon. And for a Bengals defense that played as well as it did on Monday night, I think this Bengals defense is really going to feast on this Titans offense. And I think it's going to be really the key to this football game.
Yeah, let me give you some team stats for the Titans real quick right now. Points scored, they're tied 29th in the NFL. They're averaging 15 points a game. Points allowed, they're tied 16th. They allow 22.3 points a game. Total offense, they're 31st in the NFL, the Titans are, averaging 240 yards a game. Rushing, they're tied for 23rd at 90 yards a game. And passing, they're 30th, not tied. They're 30th in the NFL. They're passing for about 149, 150 yards per game. The Bengals aren't much better on offense there, but the Titans are struggling on offense. And the way the defense played last week, they have to be licking their chops right there. We cannot let them, we have to just play solid defense, no cheap touchdowns, no turnovers to do them any favors. And we just can't let Henry get on track. He's struggling a little bit right now, especially with their offensive line woes. But this could be a prime game for the Bengals defense, another one.
Absolutely. And as good as some of those guys are in the back end of this defense, Mon, they have given up a lot of yards passing through the air. I think they're bottom 5 in yards allowed through the air. So this secondary is one that the Bengals can exploit. They did last year with T. Higgins. We saw that with a 114-yard game. Really, when you look at this Titans offense, again, you got DeAndre Hopkins, Mon, and he's got 14 receptions, Mon. The next guy closest to him has 6. So obviously, right now, this passing game is running through DeAndre Hopkins, who is actually questionable for this football game, on a little beat up right now. So again, this Bengals defense, if it comes out and plays the way it did on Monday, I think this is going to be a football game that we will actually be able to enjoy the fourth quarter, Mon. Hopefully, knock on wood, because I do think this is a big game for our defense, where they're going to go back out and finish what they started on Monday Night Football.
Jake, there's no easy victory in the NFL. Playing on the road is always hard. Talent-wise, it's not even close. The Bengals have a better roster than the Tennessee Titans, but the Tennessee Titans are coming off a horrible performance against the Browns. Joe Burrow isn't 100%. Dave Lapham, gave his opinion on Joe's injury. He thinks he's playing at about 70, 75%. That's fine. That's better than a lot of other quarterbacks. But we need to be careful there. I don't care if we win by 1 point. I just want to win. All right. And we have to go in there, play our tail off, limit the turnovers, keep on doing what we're doing. I think we have enough talent to get that win in Tennessee. And, I can't wait for that game. I'm glad it's at 1 o'clock too, because I don't want to have to wait, till 4 or 5. I just want it over with. I want it done. And at 4 o'clock, I want to relax.
Well, I mean, right now, you look at the overall picture, and I know the Bengals say they're not looking at it right now, but we are as fans. And you look at the overall picture right now. You have one team at 3-0 in the AFC, and you have a lot of other teams, Mon, right now that are either 2-2, 1-2, or have not won a football game yet. So this Bengals team is they come out and they get a win in Tennessee, Mon. They are sitting pretty. We'll talk about the matchups, the rest of the weekend matchups in our division, but we do have a Ravens-Browns game coming up this weekend too. So again, a lot of big things happening in this division if the Bengals can come in and get this win. Let's talk about Joe Burrow real quick, Mon, because obviously this calf is the news. It's the most famous calf right now in the country, especially for us Bengal fans. Burrow came out and said in his presser this week, every game I don't have, this is quote, every game I don't have a setback with the calf, it will get better and better. And, I think right now Joe Burrow is feeling more and more confident in his calf. And we have also heard that Joe has said that as the weeks go on, if he doesn't have a setback, the calf is going to get stronger on its own without a setback. So I feel like Joe Burrow right now feels very confident about this calf. And it's crazy to think that we just, we're competing in these games and we really don't have a quarterback that I would say right now he's about 75%. Once Joe Burrow is able to move around and run around and make some plays outside the pocket, this Bengals offense could get back to where it was very quickly.
Yeah, just no more setbacks. I like what he said there. Just come in and be smart about it. He's going to be limited. I can't wait to get to this bye week. Hopefully we're at the bye week 4-2, 3-3 at worst. Just got to get there, get him some more rest. I think he'll get better each week. I don't think he's going to be 100% until the season ends. I think this is going to be a nagging injury that needs to be properly maintained and properly managed. And I think the Bengals will do that. Trust me, the Cincinnati Bengals and their staff, they have the best of the best giving them advice on that calf muscle. So they're not going to do anything reckless with him, nothing reckless. And he'll get better each week. And, just baby steps. And I think we'll be able to tell. There might be a game like week 9, week 10. You're going to go, look, man, he's moving out of the pocket. You can tell things are looking better for him. Just smart, keep him upright, no cheap shots, and let's just keep on playing football. Good complementary football. That's what we need to do.
Well, right now he's, again, he's not really himself, but when you look at these Bengals stats through the first 3 games of the season, Joe is right at about 560 something as far as passing yards go, 560, 570. He's right about 55, 56 completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. One of those interceptions, obviously, just a great play by the defender. So again, hopefully we see these passing stats start to elevate a little bit. I know you really want to see this Bengals run game going. Right now, Joe Mixon's averaging 4 yards a carry, Mon. Uh, we also, I don't know if you saw on Twitter, but the Bengals released Joe was mic'd up for the game. Joe Mixon was mic'd up for the game, and he wants the football. And I think the Bengals feel right now that the best way to get Joe Burrow back is to run the football. And hopefully that's the case this week. Hopefully that starts this week, because I don't want to see Joe go into Tennessee and throw the ball 50 times again.
Yeah, he's been a pleasant surprise. I mean, we knew he was going to be good, but I think he's exceeded expectations. He's been one of the most consistent players on offense. He's running very hard. Jake, a few minutes ago, I read all the team stats for the Titans. Let me read the ones for the Bengals. They're not very pretty. That shows you how bad week one was against the Browns. 6 first downs, really is one of the worst offensive performances for our teams. Um, Points scored, the Bengals are 28th in the NFL. Points allowed, they're 16th in the NFL. They're averaging 15 points a game scoring, and they're giving up 22. Total offense, they're 30th in the NFL at 244 yards a game. Rushing, they're 29th, averaging about 70 yards a game on the ground. Passing, they're 26th, averaging 175. Those numbers are ticking up from last week. Total defense, they're 21st in the NFL, 352 a game. Rushing, they're tied 30th. Those first 2 games were brutal for the rush defense. Passing, they're 12th in the NFL defensively, giving up about 200 yards. Turnover differential, they're +2, which is really good, tied for 9th in the NFL. I do want the rush attack to be a little more consistent. There's been a lot of debates on Spaces and Twitter. The short passing game is the extension of the running game. I respect that. That's fair. These little 3-4 yard passes is like a run. I still want them to run the ball. They want to, we saw it last week in the fourth quarter. They're trying to ice this game and put the game away. The Rams knew it was coming. The Bengals couldn't run the ball. Compare that to the Ravens. Compare that to the Browns. When they needed the run, they made it happen. I want the Bengals to be able to do that. To put the game away, let's run the ball. Let's run the ball. I don't have a problem with short passing games for as an extension of the running game. That's a lot of wear and tear on your wide receivers. It's a lot of wear and tear. These guys are going to get hit. Bring up Tanner Hudson if you want to do that. Start throwing it to your running backs. But I would like a consistent running game. I don't want more rushing attempts. I just want to continue 4.5, maybe 5 yards per carry. That's going to help Joe, especially with that calf issue that he has.
Well, we saw that. I think we saw that on Monday night, right? We saw that the extension of the run game. Jamar Chase had 12 receptions, which tied him for second most in Bengals history. But we saw that with Jamar, and with the Bengals trying to throw a lot of bubble stuff, a lot of quick fire screens. Again, I think the biggest thing for the Bengals right now is to come out and start fast. They wanted to start fast last week. It didn't happen. They have not started fast yet in a football game this year, Mon. And the best way to do that is to get Joe into some kind of rhythm on offense. They haven't been able to do that either. So hopefully that all changes. Let's look at the injury report, Mon, for this game, for the Bengals and for the Titans. The Bengals injury report, Mon, looking fairly good right now. If you look at the Bengals injury report, you can see it here now on Wednesday. Charlie Sizzle and Irv Smith both did not practice. The hamstring really seems to be bothering Irv Smith. If you look at today's practice, the same 2 names up there with Charlie Sizzle and Irv Smith both not practicing again. I would say if it's the same tomorrow, those 2 gentlemen will not be participating in Sunday's game. Akeem Davis-Gaither pops up on the injury report today, limited. But what you really like to see is the bottom there, right? And that's Joe Burrow, full participation both yesterday and today. The calf seems to be doing better, Mon.
Yeah, it is. I love seeing that. That's great to see. I don't like the Charlie Jones injury. Rumblings it could be a fracture to the hand. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know that. I hope not. He's looked so much better returning punts, and I think he could be a factor. Hopefully, they get that rectified and fixed. Davis Gaither, I like him. He's a great, valuable asset to have on special teams. Hopefully, he can play. I don't know what's going on with Irv Smith. I just don't know. It just seems like same old, same old. He's always hurt. It's unfortunate for the guy. I feel bad for him. And your guy Tanner Hudson is obviously going to get called up again. He's probably going to be on the 53-man roster. Man, listen, I just want to say something. I think it's a great story. He played really well. He's playing hard, and I want him to continue to do well. But man, there's some Bengal fans think he's a second coming of Gronk. Guys, let's just calm down a little bit. He played well, and proper perspective.
I think Mon right now the perspective is more, and I don't want to speak for other Bengal fans, but for me, Tanner Hudson's the best tight end on this roster. And Mon, I think I said that before the preseason ended. Tanner Hudson needs to be on this roster every single week. He is a guy that can stretch the field at the tight end position, something that we have not had in a very long time. All right, let's look at the Titans injury report. Again, Mon, this team right now banged up, seriously banged up. Got a lot of guys questionable right now. I said it earlier in the show. We had here it is right here. Derrick Henry shows up on the injury report. He did not participate in practice. He is dealing with a toe injury. Traylon Burks, one of the other starting receivers, Mon, with a knee, he is limited. Again, I think I talked about it earlier. DeAndre Hopkins right now questionable. You can see a couple of these other defensive players did not participate in practice. Again, not a very good sign. There's your Autry guy that shows up limited in practice right there. There's DeAndre Hopkins with the ankle injury. Here is Mon, really one of their best offensive linemen in Skoronski. Try to say that 85 times. Skoronski comes up. He's got an abdomen issue. He did not participate. We talked about it earlier in the show, Mon. Trey Hendrickson got to be licking his chops right now. This beat up Tennessee Titans team. The Bengals come in and again, going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. But this Bengals defense has got to play at its best on Sunday.
Was this Thursday's injury report?
Yes, I believe this was Thursday's injury report.
Okay, yeah, seeing those players, that's quite a bit. I mean, that's surprising. Autry is their leading sack artist right now. He has 3.5 sacks this year. He's a good football player. And Hopkins obviously has played well. The number 1 draft pick, Skoronski from Northwestern. He's a hell of a football player. I mean, I wanted the Bengals to draft him. I wish he would have dropped. Yeah. That's a lot of good players, and that's unfortunate. Of course, the big guy with the toe, Henry, and Travion and Brooks, Burks, that wide receiver. He played well against the Bengals last year, so that's a lot of good players. I don't want any player hurt. I hope they all play, but that's a hell of an injury report right there.
Well, you got their two top receivers, and Burks and DeAndre Hopkins both on the injury report. That is never a good sign, Mon. Let's talk about these games, Mon, and get into our predictions. Something I've been very excited about to talk about, Mon. Why? Because Jake, once again, is right. And I hate saying that, Mon. I hate saying that. But sometimes, fans, when you talk stuff into existence, I wish we had that clip, Mon, of me talking the Colts into existence, going into Baltimore and beating the lowly Ravens. Eric, please, you have to clip that, and we'll post that because that's just a great moment in Bengal Pulse history. But right now, Mon, I'm 2-0. I'm 2-0. You are struggling. You always like to tell us that you're undefeated in your Twitter wars. You are not undefeated when it comes to Jake and picking games.
Jake, concerning the Colts and the Ravens, as I said that week, I hope you're right. I thought you were smoking dope, but you know what? You were right, and I'm so glad you were, because I was watching that game. I was just My wife was sitting next to me. I dropped a few choice words. I was so when they showed Harbaugh close up.
Oh man.
It was a
Well,
great win for the
it's
Colts.
crazy, Mom, because it's like neither team wanted to win the football game, right? I was watching it here at my house, and I'm beside myself. I'm my wife's like, you're yelling at the TV like it's the Bengals. I said, you don't understand. It's that depicts our season. What happens in
Aaron,
these games?
I want to talk to Aaron, who visits our chat every episode, the
I wonder if
Ravens
Aaron will
fan.
be on. I wonder if Aaron.
Aaron, I just want to tell you something, buddy. You always keep it classy. You're a nice guy. Lamar lost to Minshew. That's all I got to say.
And
Minshew beat him.
And I love Eric. Eric just reminded me. I couldn't remember what my score was that I chose. Thank you very much, Eric, for this. You were doing an excellent job producing. Eric reminded me that I did say it was going to be a 3-point game in the Colts' favor. I said 24-21. It was 22-19, man. I should play the lottery this week.
Hey, Eric, let's get Eric. You're listening in the background. Get Jake's greatest misses. I want a clip of the greatest hit.
There's only two. There's only two. We
got doozies. We got doozies.
This is episode 82 now. So I've only been wrong twice, I think. So that's a pretty good. Yeah. All right, let's get to these predictions, Mon. My favorite part of the show. Again, we have a very big game on coming up in this division between the Ravens and the Browns. The Ravens at Browns, Mon. Both teams 2-1. Again, this one's a tough one, Mon, because these are two teams that we've lost to. So who do you root for, Mon? I'm interested to hear from you and you, Bengal fans out there. Please comment in the comment section because I'm very torn. I don't really know who I want to win this game. I would love to see it end in a tie. I think that would be the best. But Eric said root for Bane.
Yeah. That's a great question.
Tell me, Mon. Tell me.
Okay, I was in Spaces a couple days ago, and Zim, our guy Zim from Wincinnati, brought up an excellent point.
Okay, let me hear it.
I agree with it to a certain extent. I see both sides. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
He mentioned. He says he's rooting. This is what he said a couple days ago. Not exactly how he said it. If the Browns would beat the Ravens, he was basically insinuating the Ravens would potentially implode because their locker room isn't strong. They would start pointing fingers and getting mad at each other. I actually think that's a very valid point. I could see that happening. If the Ravens go in there and lay an egg, 2 losses in a row, things might get a little crazy in that locker room. But I'm going to say this. The Browns defense is nasty. Myles Garrett's on his way to being Defensive Player of the Year, 3.5 sacks. Their DBs are the real deal. Linebackers are average. But their quarterback, I'm not a believer in. They don't have to score a lot of points. If the Browns keep on winning these games, they're going to get more confident, and they're going to get cockier, and they're going to be harder to beat. I want the Ravens to win this game. I want the Baltimore Ravens to win. They're going to win a slugfest, beat you up kind of game. It's going to be 20-16 Ravens.
Mon, I've been going back and forth, and I'm going to agree with you. God, I hate doing that. Ugh. Oh, that makes me crazy. I'm going to have to agree with you, Mon. I think it's a very good point by Zim, but for me, I know this sounds crazy, Mon, because the Browns have our number right now, but the Ravens, to me, are more of a competitor as far as the division goes. I'm not sold on the Browns. They have to prove it to me, Mon. I'm sorry. I've said it for years. This team has not proven anything to anyone. It's like I always like to say, just try to win the division first. You know what I mean? And this team has struggled. It struggles at the end of the second half of the year. So I see the Browns imploding. I really do. And for me, the Ravens, I think, are much more competition for the Bengals. So I'm going to go. I think it's going to be a slugfest, though. I think it's going to be a close game. I'm going to say Ravens win 24-21. 24-21 Ravens win that football game. Oh, God, I hate agreeing with you. All right, here we go. Steelers at the surprising Houston Texans, Mon. The Houston Texans they beat up the Jacksonville Jaguars. They beat the hell out of them, Mon. Their fullback, a 250-pound fullback, had an 85-yard kickoff return in that game against the Jaguars. I don't know if you saw any of that, Mon, or any of the highlights, but I have never seen a fullback run a kickoff return back for a touchdown. And, Mon, I like how the Texans are playing football right now, Mon. I really do. C.J. Stroud looks good, Mon. He looks good. He could be Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. So do you have the Texans winning?
I do. I was going to let you go first, but I'll go first with this one. I have the Houston Texans beating the Pittsburgh Steelers only because it is in Houston. But this Texans team, Mon, is scrappy, and they're getting better. And C.J. Stroud, I'm going to tell you right now, Mon, C.J. Stroud, he's better than Pickett. He is. He is better than Pickett right now. And I like the Texans in this game. I think it's going to be another slugfest. I'm going to say Texans 27, Pittsburgh 21.
Yeah. Texans are playing very hard. Impressive win last week against the Jags. Playing at home is going to be beneficial to them. I just don't know about a rookie quarterback beating that Steeler defense. But something about the Texans playing in Houston. I think their defense, I'm not a believer. I think their defense is going to show up. I'm not a believer in Pickett. He's just too streaky. He looks really good throwing the ball. Their wide receiver Pickens is the real deal. He's a really good player. I still think the Texans win this game 21-17. They're going to come up with a couple key turnovers. Texans over the Steelers 21-17.
Can I just say this real quick? Are the Kansas City Chiefs going to play anybody good this year? How does a team that wins a Super Bowl get the easiest schedule in football? It makes no sense to me, Mom. I don't even want to talk about it. All right, here we go. Bengals at Titans, the one that matters most, Mon. Who you got?
I think it's going to be it's going to be close at first. I think the Bengals will pull away. I think it could be one of the more comfortable wins or one of the easier games so far in this season. I got the Bengals winning this game 27-14. I just don't see the Texans scoring a lot of points. The Bengals, by no means.
The Titans.
The Titans. I don't see the Titans scoring a lot of points. The Bengals are going to come in and manufacture some points. They're going to struggle a little bit at first, going to get their footing. Second half, they'll come in. I think the defense is going to help out a lot. Maybe get a turnover here and there that helps the offense out. I got the Bengals winning 27-14.
I'm going to say Bengals win 31-10, and I'm going to agree with everything you just said. I think the Bengals defense plays tough. I think the Titans have a very tough time putting points on the board. So I'm going to say Bengals 31, Titans 10. All right, and for that game, on very, very exciting news. We're going to bring our producer Eric on. Obviously, the three of us being down here in Brevard County, Florida, we are putting together a watch party. Eric is running this thing. Eric, I'm going to let you tell everybody about it. Bengal fans in the state of Florida, come watch the game with us. It's going to be an awesome, awesome day. We're going to broadcast the Pulse from the Cocoa Beach Fish Camp Grill. Eric, tell all of our listeners about it.
Sure. Yeah. So reached out to a friend of mine that owns a local sports bar down here in Florida last year. And he was a Packers fan, but he was all aboard to become a Bengals bar. So they submitted all the paperwork. They are officially a Bengals bar down here in Cocoa Beach, Florida. So on Sunday, we've wanted to do this before, but Jake and I, all of us were up in Cincinnati for the Ravens game, and I was there last week. So this is our real first opportunity. So anybody that's in Florida that wants to come watch a game with the Bengals Pulse and a bunch of other crazy Bengals fans, we will have no less than 15 of us there and possibly 50 to 100 people there, depending on how many people we can get to show up. It should be a really good, fun time. The Bengals game will be on. Audio will be on. Working on convincing them to bring some Cincinnati staples in for the menu. But for this first week, we're going to just do it right. We're going to have our families there. We're going to yell loud and proud. Jake and I are going to be screaming loud and proud for Tanner Hudson when he gets his first touchdown this week. Shout out if they happen to be watching. I did for the second straight year. I met a Bengals tight ends family. I got to meet Tanner's wife and his mom last week. So I told them all about the Bengals Pulse and how we've been rooting for Tanner. And I think this is the week that Jake and I are both right on this one. And Tanner solidifies himself as that.
I hope you guys are. I'm not a Tanner Hudson hater. I want him to succeed.
You can't coach 6'5". That seam route last week was beautiful. Some people thought it was going to be intercepted, but man's tall, just reached up and grabbed it out of the sky.
That was nice.
Well, hey, we want to give a big shout out to the Cocoa Beach Fish Camp Grill for putting this together and for officially becoming a Bengals bar. It's going to be a lot of fun. So again, guys, if you are in Florida, Bengal fans, please reach out to us, DM us, message us on Twitter. We will give you all of the details of this watch party going on this Sunday, 1 o'clock at the Cocoa Beach Fish Camp Grill. Guys, we're going to end the show.
Hold on one second. Eric, they have drink specials and specials for the game, correct?
Yep. I'll throw some stuff out on Twitter here later on tomorrow. They're going to have specials. They always have specials. In fact, tonight, if you're in Florida and you make it over there, they're pouring beer for free until the first score on Thursday night. So I know we may not have a lot of Florida listeners yet, but for anybody that is traveling down here, they're right off of our Cocoa Beach Pier. So if you're over here going on a cruise, they're right next to the ocean, and they're going to have specials for us. But every day they have really good specials going on.
So.
Awesome. Well, guys, we're going to finish the show. Eric has done a great job of putting together just a little slideshow of our weekend 2 weekends ago in Cincinnati for the Ravens game. It was just such an awesome weekend for the Bengals Pulse and for the three of us, just getting to see everybody, all of our friends, and everyone else that does so much great content for the Cincinnati Bengals. So we're going to end the show on that. So do not go anywhere. We're going to kick to that here in just a minute. But before we do, for all of you guys that are listening on Apple, Stitcher, or Spotify, go ahead and make sure you check out the YouTube version of the Bengals Pulse this week so you can watch our slideshow from 2 weekends ago, the Ravens game. What a great weekend that was, Mon. It was just a lot of fun.
It was a blast. I tell you, I know we didn't win, but it was worth every second up there. Had a good time, and it's great to meet everybody and see everybody again. And I'd do it again in a second.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, guys, that's another edition of the Bengals Pulse. If you like this podcast, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Make sure you check us out on all the awesome podcast platforms, Apple, Stitcher, Spotify. Follow him on Twitter at TheFireMon. Follow me on Twitter at Coach Jake Owens 9. Follow the Bengal Pulse on Twitter at Bengals_Pulse9. On Instagram, the same without the at Bengals_Pulse9. As always, if you like this podcast, make sure you give Mon and I that 5-star review. We very much appreciate that. And as always, check out all the awesome podcasts right here on the Wincinnati Podcast Network. All right, guys, we are going to go right now to the slideshow. We will see you guys, hopefully, at that Cocoa Beach Fish Camp Grill. It's going to be awesome on Sunday. Hoo-day, Bengal fans. Let's go 2-2 this week.